we have a lot of members that mistake being scared for being threatened.
Right.
Okay. Can you guys cover that? Because like, being, fearful of someone endangering your life and just being in fear of some type of physical attack or just someone yelling and being aggressive. And, when I talk about that, we talk about aggressive panhandling and stuff like that, where people just move into your space or began yelling at you and such.
Well, just being afraid fear is not really required for self-defense. Apprehension of harm is what's required for self-defense. And you have that subjective state of that. So
Yes.
there's some emotional state that you're in. But it also has to be objectively reasonable, meaning it's not speculative. It's not for all I know he has a gun or for all I know he has a knife. You have to be making your decisions by applying your powers of reason to evidence, things you're observing.
And what you mean by that is like bulges. You can see a handle of a knife.
Someone's reaching for their waistband
Yes.
after having verbalized a threat.
Thank you.
Someone is closing proximity on you after you've told them to stay back. Someone's attempting to get into your car when your car is otherwise secured against entry. Those are all things that are evidence of their aggression.
Yes.
That you can articulate to other people that support an objectively reasonable perception of threat. A mere irrational fear of threat is not enough to support a claim of self-defense. But people need to know what to look for.
Mm-hmm.
And if you know what to look for, you can also, frankly, position yourself where that person, if they're going to escalate, they have to do it by hitting triggers that are the evidence for your reasonable perception of threat. So, for example, if you're shouting at someone to stay back and they continue to close proximity, I love verbal commands like that not because I expect the other person to comply. That's up to them. I have no control.
Yeah.
But it strips away the ambiguity, right? If you're uncertain about whether someone's a threat, you're allowed to yell at them to stay back. That's not a crime for you to do that. And if you do that and they continue coming closer, what you've effectively done is you've compelled them to either stop doing what's scaring you or to act in a manner consistent with the threat based on actual evidence that you've observed that you can articulate to other people. That's stripping away that ambiguity.
Absolutely. And the other thing that Andrew's hitting upon that you guys have to really think about is the fact that verbal commands are also heard by people who are nearby. So they can tell that you are the victim by the way that you are pushing out the information. It's obvious that you're saying stay back, all of those things that helps your case, even if you don't know someone's watching. So it's very important to use verbal commands to do that as well.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, in most good guy cases of self-defense, they don't tend to get into trouble because there's too much evidence in the case. They tend to get into trouble when there's too little evidence in the case. And so the situation looks ambiguous to police, to prosecutors. Generally, we want more evidence. Famously, in the George Zimmerman trial, the prosecutor, the investigator, lied to George and said, well, we have camera footage of what happened in an effort to get George to, confess to something. And George's response was, thank God they have camera footage. So they'll be able to see exactly what happened. We all, if we hear people shouting, what do? We turn our head to look to see what's going on. We want witnesses. We want that camera footage. If, of course, presuming we're acting actually in lawful self-defense, we want more evidence because that'll be favorable to us. And verbal, listen, if I ever have to defend myself, I'm going to be screaming like a little girl. I want as much attention as I can possibly get.
That's right.
And maybe someone will actually come and help you too. That would be nice.
Absolutely.
You don't have any control over that, but they certainly can't come and help you if they don't know you need help.